I never would have guessed that the chicken and rice in this delicious bowl were both frozen less than an hour ago, had I not made it myself. The book selected for this video, From Freezer to Cooker, is all about how a little bit of prep work can leave you with a freezer full of a surprising variety of meals, ready to finish up in a slow cooker or Instant Pot with very little effort. Let's dive right into this recipe for Fiesta Lime Chicken Bowls. This dish is like something you might get at a fast casual Mexican restaurant, but fresher, cheaper, and undoubtedly tastier. There are deceptively few ingredients, but each one packs a punch. The star is 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts. We'll need 2 cups of your favorite salsa. I made a batch of the recipe shown in my oven-roasted veggie salsa video, with the addition of a couple ears of leftover corn and all blended together with lime juice. We'll deepen that flavor with a tablespoon of taco seasoning mix, and the book had a recipe for a homemade blend. I'd never made my own before and happened to have everything needed on our spice wall, so that's what I did. I'll run through exactly how in just a moment. The juice of 2 limes and 1/3 cup of fresh cilantro or parsley add some bright notes and a fresh herbal flavor. Finally, 4 to 6 cups of cooked brown rice. The book's recipe for taco seasoning makes far more than we'll need for chicken bowls, but this is something I'll use again and again, and it turned out so much better than anything I've gotten from a packet. We need 1.5 tablespoons chili powder, 1 tablespoon ground cumin, 1.5 teaspoons each of salt and ground black pepper, and 3/4 teaspoons each of garlic powder, onion powder, red pepper flakes, dried oregano, and paprika. I like the extra flavors that come with the smoked paprika, so that's what I used. And all we have to do is mix them up. The Georgia humidity makes my onion and garlic powder get lumpy, so I used my mortar and pestle to smooth out those lumps and then just mixed everything together right in the mortar. For the red pepper flakes, I used the dried New Mexico red chilies that I ground up for those terrible heart-healthy enchiladas a while back. Those enchiladas were terrible, but the red chili is fantastic, and I use it often. I'm working on a much better version of those healthy enchiladas for an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, now that I've got the taco seasoning all mixed up, I'll measure out 1 tablespoon for this recipe and store the rest in a jar for future use. This book has an interesting feature. Every recipe has 4 different preparation methods, one using fresh ingredients in a slow cooker, one made now with a pressure cooker, and 2 where you begin some of the prep work and then freeze those prepared ingredients and cook them later directly from the freezer using one of those 2 appliances. I have an Instant Pot, and I'm really curious how this will be directly out of the freezer, so that's the method I chose today. We'll start by putting the cooked brown rice in a freezer bag. I'm using Ziploc freezer bags today because that's what I have, but if I were to use recipes from this book often, I'd invest in some reusable freezer containers. I've never frozen cooked rice before, but the recipe promises all we'll have to do later is heat it back up, saving a good amount of time the night we eat this. We are using brown rice, and it seems logical that it could stand up to freezing and thawing without getting mushy. I'm planning on making the complete dish for dinner in just a couple days, but it's good practice to label and date anything you put into the freezer because you never know when life will change your plans. The ingredients for the chicken will go in a separate freezer container. They are raw at this point. All of the cooking will happen in the Instant Pot later, directly from the freezer. I've roughly cut the chicken down into smaller pieces, so later they will cook more evenly. I was impressed with all the tips given throughout the book that give you the best possible chances for success with your tools and ingredients. They give substitution ideas and talk about all of the testing that went into the book and what didn't work for them. Very little seemed left up to chance, and I appreciated that. So, in this bag we have the chicken, taco seasoning, chopped herbs, lime juice, and the salsa. I'll massage the bag to get everything well mixed, and then use one of their tips to place the bag inside a bowl that fits inside the pan for the Instant Pot. This will ensure that the chicken will fit right into the pot, straight out of the freezer, and keep it all in a nice layer so it will cook evenly. And of course, I label and date the bag. At this point, all of the preparation is done, and we can come back to it days, weeks, or even months from now and have a quick and easy dinner. 5 days have gone by, and it's time to make our chicken and rice bowls. The rice can just sit out on the counter to thaw. We'll heat that back up at the very end. The chicken can be removed from the bag. It's a single frozen bowl-shaped block, and go into the Instant Pot. We'll use the sauté setting for 5 minutes, and that will let enough of the salsa melt so it can turn to steam and provide pressure for the next step. When the 5 minutes is up, cancel that and start pressure cooking for 20 minutes at the high setting. It'll take some time to get up to pressure, so you're looking at a half hour or so total cooking time. When that time is up, do a quick pressure release. Now that the chicken is done, we can reheat the thawed-out rice. You can do this quickly in the microwave if you have one. I don't, so I'll just use a pan on the stovetop. Stir in some of the juices from the Instant Pot to add moisture and help it heat up more quickly. Back in the Instant Pot, I'll use a wooden spoon to break up the chicken into smaller bite-sized pieces and make sure everything is evenly distributed in the pan. Once the rice is heated up, it's time to serve. All in all, it was about 45 minutes from the freezer until now, and almost all of that time was hands-off. I used a lot of that time futzing with lights and cameras, but I could have been doing something else in another room pretty much the entire time. It really was so simple. I did assemble some toppings for our bowls, household favorites like lettuce, tomatoes, onions, green chili and beans, guacamole, sour cream, and shredded cheese. All of these things are pantry and fridge staples here, so I didn't have to go buy anything special for tonight. I like how versatile the rice and chicken base of this dish is, and how each of us can customize it to our tastes. So how was it? Absolutely delicious. Everyone here loved it and said they want me to make it again. It was better than any bowl I've had from Chipotle, and my kids surprisingly agreed. Despite being frozen, everything tasted fresh and bright. The chicken had deep layers of flavor thanks to the homemade salsa and taco mix. I loaded mine up with toppings, but it would have been just as satisfying with only rice and chicken. There are a few things I'll do differently next time. I'll substitute thighs for the breasts, which are usually less expensive and I think are more flavorful. And rather than heat the rice up in a separate pan, I think I'll pull the cooked chicken out and chop it on a cutting board and dump the thawed rice right into the Instant Pot. It'll save another pan and I think get more of that flavor into the rice. I may even undercook the rice a few minutes so it can finish up in the Instant Pot and soak up even more of those juices. The cookbook itself is a winner too. It was the first time I've made anything from it, and I'll definitely be making more. It's very thoughtfully written, and I just love the idea of having some prepared meals ready to go in the freezer for those low-energy nights or an impromptu gathering. There was a minor typo in this recipe with some steps misnumbered, but that was easy to figure out. I'm really happy with how it came out, and I wish I'd used this book sooner instead of keeping it on the shelf. That's one reason I'm making this video series. These books are meant to be used, and I've not done a good job with that. My loss in this case. I'm glad you joined me on this adventure. If this is your first time here, I've got a few dozen previous videos you can check out, and there will be many, many more to come. A boy's gotta eat, you know? And I'm having a lot of fun randomly picking recipes out of these cookbooks behind me. Until next time.